Hey guys, we got a big one today. We have some intel on some things that I wanted to talk about on some of these recent sources that I have seen and have confirmed some things regarding the echoes. And what I mean by is that the echoes that we have been told about, that we've been talking about, and that we apparently can see in the upcoming cinematics has been already confirmed in one of these credible leaks. And we're going to jump right into it, as it does actually point out a lot of interesting things that I have yet to cover, and it has a lot of stuff and potential to be something we will see more in the future going into Revenant, Heresy, and beyond. Now I hope you guys do enjoy this video. Please be sure to subscribe. No long intros. I hope all of you are having a great day. I love you all, and it would mean a lot if we could get to 35,000, and please be sure to share the video, as it means a lot. Now than that, let's get right into it. Now, when I say this is a big video, I mean that this is a big video, and we have a lot to cover and a lot of thoughts to go over. So I would recommend all of you get a nice snack, get like an ice cream, get a sundae, go get a nice chocolate shake or something, sit back, relax, and let me cook here. So let's get right into it. So with the first little segment on this, we really are talking more on a recap of Echoes Act 2 and 3, which we are in right now. And more or less the biggest takeaway for episode 1 that this leak provides is that it really talks about what the Echoes are and what they represent. It has been revealed already by Ikora in the first cinematic of Act 2. The Echoes are physical manifestations of the witness, mind, and memories, and with that comes the selection of its power. Now, in the upcoming cinematic that we will likely see next week, it will be revealed that the echo that the conductor it does use is the echo of command. And I did mention this throughout all my videos, is that the echo names have sort of a name with them, you know, like I said, echo of command, and then it will more or less be revealed what the echo of command truly does, like commanding Radiolaria to corrupt more Vex under the conductor's sort of watch, similar to how probably Vicrol and whoever in Heresy will get their echoes and beyond. So I just want to clear that up because I know people have been confused by that. Now, it will be important because it does set up what echoes will really represent and present throughout the year in Revenant and Heresy and beyond. So we're going to get right into Revenant, and I gotta say Revenant is really a release that I am very more anticipated and excited for than Heresy, because with all the stuff that's being provided and the new changes that Bungie is doing, it does look like Revenant will be one of the bigger awesome releases that we players are going to see. Now, potion crafting will be a mix of selectable rogue-like mechanics and loot boosters. Of course, Bungie has already revealed this. 3 new activities in the episode and 1 exotic mission, and apparently that exotic mission will be very early in the episode. This is awesome because a lot of people right now are very upset that they can't get the new exotic until Act 3. Let me know your thoughts on that. And it looks like Bungie will be trying a different approach with the next release and releasing the exotic mission a bit early. And 2 of the 3 new activities will be inspired in the coil and onslaught sort of mode. One of it is a very wave defensive oriented, while the other is a wave offensive with power-ups. And obviously Bungie has made it clear that the coil will be one of the things that a lot of these new activities will be inspired by going forward, like they said with the Heresy activity. The third activity is called Baron Slayer. This will be an evolution of Wrathborn Hunts, more or less having 1 out of 4 boss fights. And then these boss fights will have major mechanics and different hard modes that can be triggered by the way you hunt them down, which is a very interesting way to play on it, because it changes the sort of type of way how you play, because the boss fights will be determined by how you play the game, which is cool. And before you fight them, you have a series of steps to accomplish to find their location, triggers that are set to have secret objectives done during the phase. This hunt section will be an individual node that will instant you into the Tangled Shore and will require you to complete certain objectives to start the final Baron slaying activity, which is a separate node. Now, there's a lot to unpack here, as it's really going to make the individual Guardian do more than just shooting at enemies and going on to a different region. They will be set into a different place, doing different objectives, and it already clears up that it will be getting you guys into the Tangled Shore. Now, we made it clear, I think, and a lot of people has made it clear that the Tangled Shore is going to be one of probably the #1 locations to return in some way with the Revenant episode, regardless if it's going to be something like Season of the Deep or it's going to be something like Season of the Haunted with how they deliver that destination back to the players. We have to wait and see, but it does look like that within the activity at least, we will be summoned into the Tangled Shore in some way, and then hopefully we will see it return, as it's a destination I think a lot of people did like, and I can't wait to go back to it. Now, more or less, here's the story of how this entire thing is going to go, and we will talk about some dungeon stuff. So Vickrul has formed an unholy alliance with the worm god using the power of the Echo of Hunger. Now, if you guys don't know, again, there is a worm god I think it's like worm god of hunger or something like that. Correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm not all deep within the worm god lore, as it's been a while. It's been quite a minute, and it does confirm here that Vickrul will be using the power of the Echo of Hunger, which is definitely a different play on, as one of our previous leaks we talked about that it was going to be called the Echo of Corruption. I know their names are all weird, and there's so many names to these echoes, and again, we have to wait and see of how it will be done when we get there, but apparently it's told that the Vickrul and this worm god are attempting to use the Echo to create a new army of Fallen with a mix of Hive, really restoring really forming a new army with Fallen and Hive, and I guess Scorn you can wrap too, which is a really prominent army if you really think about it. We did see in cinematics that worm gods will play a role in this episode, which is great, because a lot of the other leaks and a lot of other news that we've seen is that the worm gods are barely mentioned, so this gives me more confidence into what they're doing and why they are being put all over the cinematics and marketing, at least in that one video for Revenant. Makes sense, and it does, tell why Vickrul is forming this huge army to combat us, and it makes a lot of sense. The vampire theme is all about the Fallen with Hive-like powers and hunger for death, courtesy of the Echo. So this Echo is really going to make it so the the sword logic from the Hive, if you will, is really going to influence the Fallen and Scorn in some way and make them more prominently powerful, but also, go crazy, I guess, and that Echo is probably one of the leading cause of it, with the sword logic being really all over the place. And it's basically, I think in Season of the Witch, it's really just showing the Hive that it doesn't work for them. Maybe it works for the Fallen, who knows. Technically it doesn't work for anybody, because we'll just step in and kill you and then you're dead, because Guardians are that powerful at the game. But it does feel interesting to have an Echo really be influenced on that fact and make it so other races and other enemies can be influenced by it. Really cool. And it basically, your benefits from tributes are by these Fallen. So apparently we'll be sort of in the world of this as well, and we might see benefits, sort of potions that you probably have seen or will probably be seen with all of this. So really cool. Vickrul wants to use this army to take over the reef and then make Earth the new home for the Fallen. So this is pretty big, because taking over the reef is first like a #1 stuff for Vickrul, I guess, because apparently it's being told that he will be going to the Awoken Watchtower and setting up camp there, taking over all the reef, and then going to Earth and setting up a new home. I could really see this being blended in really well with the 3-act structure, if you know what I mean. Even though I haven't given it a lot of hope recently, it would be really cool if the first act or so would be us realizing that Vickrul's back. The second act is that Vickrul wins getting the reef, and then the third act is that Vickrul just takes this whole huge fleet of Fallen catches and maybe Hive ships or whatever, and just goes to Earth and starts creating this entire attack, and everyone has to come back. It's sort of like a mini Avengers Endgame in a way, but it's for Vickrul, and I could see Crow, I could see Spider, I could see Mithrax, I could even see Aramis playing a deep role in this, and maybe even Savathun or Xidu, because again, it is being played with the Hive influence of basically this new Echo, and it's really cool. Now, about themes about this Kell of Kells have already been discussed in interviews. It will be sort of a war for the Fallen, with, again, figures like Mithrax, Spider, and Varix involved. Vickrul will be the new contender for the Kell of Kells, and Mithrax will lead House of Light and Guardians against them. Petrovenge and Crow are also heavily involved, makes a lot of sense, and apparently it's being told now that Mithrax will die, and the source is unsure now, but recently in a lot of lore videos, if you've been catching up with Evade and some stuff like that, you may have seen that, or if you see it in game in some like lore tabs, that Mithrax has apparently a sort of curse from Nezarec, which is getting a lot of attention, and it could be the leading cause for his death if he does die. And it looks cool. I think it thinks it's pretty cool. It's whatever. It's pretty cool to think about that Nezarec just can't die, because obviously he is just the legend and the goat he is. But it would be really cool to bring the character back in some way. I think Root of Nightmares really turned him down and just made him not such of a threat as he probably was in the lore. And again, he is for some reason, I think he can't die, right? I think he survived for so long since the first collapse, just having his consciousness out there. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it is something interesting to see if he comes back to face Mithrax, as obviously it does call back to when in Season of the Plunder we found out that Mithrax took one of his relics in the first place, all the way back when he was the monstrous Mithrax like he was, and he was like avenging and killing people like crazy, and obviously that relic corrupted him. To see Nezarec maybe come back in the far future to corrupt him back and maybe kill him in this dire need that he needs to take away Vickrul, it would be really cool. Again, there's a lot of points here to point out with it, but again, it would be really cool. Now, Crow will be the one to kill Vickrul. Being so, he promises Vickrul to find a home for the fallen and to end their suffering. So this is interesting, as again, I don't think it's going to be one of those deaths where Crow just kills him and doesn't have any emotional impact. I think a lot of us really want for the new Hunter Vanguard to have this new adventure be a really emotional one, because he in some ways thinks Vickrul is sort of his responsibility. I want to play it on like saying it's his responsibility in a way, because I believe he was the one who wished him, and it's going to be something. I don't know how to make a similar connection to this for some reason, but I'm going to make it a connection to Spider-Man. I think great power, great responsibility. I don't know. But I have to say that I think Crow will have definitely emotional attachments to Vickrul in some way, and maybe he would be the one trying to make sure he can have peace with him, but Vickrul, being a guy like he is, he won't let that happen, and Crow will eventually have to kill Vickrul. But he does promise to have the fallen sort of a new home and end their suffering. Varric outright says that Vickrul was the Kell of Kells from the prophecy, and his death united the houses. That will be really interesting. Again, it's really cool, because I feel like it's not one of those episodes that like we end with no progression. I think with the Fallen, I think some of the Fallen stories that we've gotten, there really hasn't been a lot of progression. It's been like, okay, because we have something else going in the background at the time, like the Witness or Savathun. I feel like this would be really putting the Fallen in the forefront and really making a introduction and then a conclusion to their story, and then again, it would be really cool to unite all of them. Again, I don't see a lot of House Salvation or Aramis being involved in this league at this point, but I could see them being referenced. Dungeon will be released at the start of this episode. No additional info on the content aside from having a new archetype of scout rifle as an exotic. It was shown in the episode Vidoc, the red pointy gun. So apparently that is a gun, a scout rifle in some way, but it will be a new archetype, and it will be really interesting to see if that is the dungeon exotic. As you know, dungeons will have one new exotic, and it will be in the dungeon pass and not with the episode. Going into Heresy, I know a lot of you guys are very excited for this episode, as it does bring the return of the Dreadnought, and yes, the Dreadnought will return as a patrol space. We have to wait and see of how much is returned, but it is confirmed that it will not be like Season of the Deep with Titan. The gameplay, not a lot is known about this, but players can expect the 3 new activities and 1 new exotic mission, and there is also a dungeon releasing in this episode inside the Dreadnought. Apparently, one of the concepts for this an activity in Heresy is that it's a Whisper-like time-based puzzle around the Dreadnought that can be activated while on patrol. Very interesting stuff there, and again, it is very influenced by the coil back in Season of the Wish. Now, the third echo we encounter in this episode is the Echo of Secrets, and it houses the memory of the witness regarding the worm Akka of Secrets. The Echo will be attached to the Dreadnought since it's made out of Akka. The changes to the ship are a result of the Echo and the worm slowly coming back to life. Tolan, Savathun, and Xetha will be on a relay race to find the Echo. You got Xetha wanting the Echo because she believes it will allow her to gain the power to take. Savathun wants to prevent the return of the Taken King / Queen, if you will, and Tolan comes to the use for help. Tolan will betray us in the end and attempt to revive Oryx through the Echo. apparently the ending of this episode and the heresy. But Toland will be destroyed by the end of the episode. Savathun will fight Zethu but lose, and Zethu will rise as the new Taken Queen and escape with the Echo. She will go into hiding, using time to learn how to use the Echo. This is literally going to be another Savathun Witch Queen type heist, if you will. You know, after we killed Oryx, Savathun went into hiding, didn't show up until like 5 years later or whatever, but did all like the little, you know, tricks behind the curtain, and then finally come out, have this master plan. We go defeat the master plan, and finally she dies, which literally what happened with Savathun. We might expect this with Zethu if there will be a Destiny 3, which I'll get into in a bit, and we will eventually kill her. But again, it looks like Zethu will kind of win in this episode at the very end, and we will have to wait until what she brings as the new Taken Queen. The Dreadnought will be conquered by the Guardians, the new Navigators, and that really leads us into the conclusion of Heresy, and then we finally get into Project Frontiers, which has a lot of important info. There's been a lot of people talking about what is next, and they don't like being sidelined by the darkness right now by Bungie of what is to come. So let's get into Frontiers. Now, Frontiers is targeted to release by the end of 2025, so not exactly at the beginning, and the extra dev time that the Final Shape had is basically being incorporated to all future releases, looking to always have around 16 to 18 months of development. Frontiers will be smaller than the Final Shape by a large margin for reasons I will get to later. Expect something similar to Beyond Light in a way, but not fully. Releasing after Marathon, and again, no announcements plans for Frontiers before 2025, but Bungie will release an F2P event similar to Into the Light during the downtime of June to November. As you guys know, we're in Echoes, and that will bring us to October, and then Revenant will bring the release of it in from October all the way to around February, and then February all the way to likely June, and then after Heresy, what's next? And that's when we'll probably get an event of some sort of like Into the Light, like it's saying here, to then get us to Frontier. So it looks like there will be another 4-month-ish, 5-month delay in terms of getting this next release out, because they care about quality. Let's go, no more Lightfalls. Biggest takeaway here is that they will reprise the raid known as Wrath of the Machine, which again is crazy because I just said in my latest video that Scourge of the Past might be the raid reprisal for year 10 or year 7, whatever year you're caring about it these days, and then Wrath of the Machine being the raid reprise after that. I don't know anymore, bro, because we have yet to heard anything of what Bungie would be doing if Scourge is back. It looks like Scourge is something that they're planning to release, but it's being told here that Bungie might release Wrath of the Machine if they need to delay Frontiers, which again will probably get a lot of people to come back. If you release Wrath of the Machine any day of the week, you'll expect 2 million Guardians on that doorstep trying to play that raid and get all the Siva love. So I'm not gonna say no to this. I don't really like how the raids are being sort of, being talked about. They don't really talk about the raids right now when it's coming, but a lot of people are really concerned about it. They should really talk about what's happening. They have yet to say anything, which is, again, not the best. Now, the story. There are some things about the story for Frontiers, and basically the largest point with the story is that it's going to talk about the largest echo, as that is the main point of the DLC. So it's being also told that Frontiers is a DLC in some way, and that the largest echo is the main point, the Echo of Conquest. So I just want to clear up these echoes. We got Echo of Command with the Echoes release, with the release we're on today. We have the Echo of Hunger, which would be the one with the Revenant and Vickrell. Then we have the Echo of Secrets with Heresy, and then we have Echo of Conquest with the Frontiers release. Details and memories around all species will be defeated by the Witness. Houses the memories of one species that almost defeated the Witness in the past, and Yurix is in command of the Dread in the Black Fleet and wants this Echo to assume the Witness's place. Now, I'm correcting myself as I do it because I'm not so confident in who Yerick was before I made this video, and I read up, apparently this is the Scion that was mentioned all the way back in Season of the Chosen, and also mentioned in Season of the Risen. Apparently it is one that is basically on a mission of revenge against the original 3 apparent Scions that we defeated back in Season of the Dawn, and apparently he is back and he will be being the one leading a charge of the command of the Dread and the Black Fleet. Now, again, I don't know if Scions would be a full picture of what Bungie is truly thinking about of being a next big bad of this DLC, but if there's a, an actually good story and that storytelling can bring Yerick into the spotlight as being a big bad for this last Echo, then I'm down. We travel to a faraway system in the search of this Echo. The Echo landed on a planet codenamed Pandora, a reference to Pandora's box, not the final name. Obviously, this is code name. I just want to, put that out there. So Pandora, which again is really cool. I love that name. And this used to be a storage world. These worlds were house relics of many cultures, and that this is a planet that will open up a new whole world of lore for the devs to build on. So again, it does look like maybe out of the solar system could be something that we are expanding to and we are going for. So looking at all that, we do have that sort of thing to look forward to. And a civilization of aliens lives in this planet and will become allies of Guardians. They use darkness to store culture and history of these old cultures. Somehow they are related to Scions and Nezarec. Nezarec coming back, baby. I'm just saying this now. If Nezarec becomes the next big bad, if he gets the Echo, bro, and he becomes overpowerful and now he seeks revenge, bro, Nezarec's coming back as the next major big bad in a raid. Bro, they're gonna make a raid just to have Nezarec be the big bad in it, just to prove that you can't be killed in 2 hours again. He's gonna be like in this Echo and become like this entire big threat, and it's gonna be great. It's gonna be like the return. But Yerick will use the Echo and its memories to expand the Dread factions, and apparently there will be 2 to 3 new Dread faction units, which is really cool. And it is a lot of things will be answered within this DLC, like the 2 most big questions: why was the Black Fleet empty and all the ships, and who almost beat the Witness? Again, these major questions will be answered within Frontiers, which is really cool. The ending sets up our journey to explore the rest of the universe and search for the new cultures and powers found on codenamed planet Pandora. So very interesting there. I think it's good. I think Frontiers should be a release that really opens up the future instead of just being a set alone, one new release that we might get on a destination and then that's it. And it just feels like the same old, same old. I think it needs to be out in a new solar system, and it needs to build on a lot of things. Now, new destination, new focus on exploration, new darkness subclass based on nightmares and dreams. Source tells me that this is a pretty obvious tease of this in-game added with the final shape. Definitely not dialogue that was added in the final shape that really teases Nezarec and a nightmare power on the moon. Additions to Prismatic, 2 new Dread units, and that is really the gameplay you can expect. Now going into Beyond, and apparently a source from Bungie asked about Destiny 3, and it is 100% happening, but they're keeping it in, under the curtain, if you will. The extra development time for Frontiers will most be to compensate the smaller expansion team that has officially been moved to work on Destiny 3 after Frontiers would be apparently done. No date is confirmed, but concepts and pre-production has begun for D3 a long time ago before Lightfall, and fully production likely already started. I think when I look at all these stuff, I think it's been pointed out that Bungie had a codename and some little production on Destiny 3 back with Witch Queen, so I feel like it has definitely been in the shadows, and it's been definitely being twisted around and changing and having being built on. Again, Sony did buy out Bungie around the Witch Queen time, so who knows if Bungie or if Sony let Bungie have a little dev time on Destiny 3 and let it be built up over the years. Again, Sony was heavily supportive of D3, but it's Bungie's decision to make it. Some Sony studios are helping to develop Destiny 3, and it's probably releasing in sometime in 2027, 2028, or the end of 2026. As far for D2, there will be episodes between 2025 and 2026. And that really wraps it all up on a nice bow tie. Now looking at this all together, we have Echoes, we have Revenant, we have Heresy. we have the Frontiers release that could be a set-alone DLC that would expand across the Destiny universe into places beyond, still be able to set a sort of conclusion to this Scion sort of threat that has been sort of in the shadows for such a long time, really expand on the Dread and maybe bring a new raid with this Frontier expansion if it is, which I would bet if it is an expansion, a raid is imminent for it, and now we'll also bring a Dread raid. The Nightmarish subclass, for God's sake, would make so sense. Nezarec coming back, being a big bad, and it would be highly maybe teased after Revenant if Mithrax does die from the curse of Nezarec. So looking at all this, Bungie definitely has connections to something that could be really great and really expansive for the future of Destiny. There's a lot of things to think about, and even then, Destiny 3 releasing in sometime in 2028 and 2029 is crazy. I'm gonna be like graduated from freaking college and I'm gonna be out, yo guys, let's go play D3, which would be really cool. Again, we got to take it all with a grain of salt, by the looks of it, with the credible leaks and with the credible news that has been going out about these echoes and what they are, what they represent, and what they truly have power for, and talking about sort of some of the things that these episodes will have, like teasing what Act 2 of Echo's weapons will have, like Perfect Paradox and these new weapons, and already leaking all that, and it's already coming true. It does prove the fact that we already know that Bungie has some lines, some story plots down the line that could come true. I hope you guys did enjoy. Please be sure to let me know your thoughts, as it would be really appreciative, and also subscribe as we're trying to get the 35k. But other than that, I'll see you guys in the next video. Love you guys, see you on the next one.